Global attention is now focused on the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical maritime chokepoints in the world. As tensions in the region continue to rise, the United States is considering a risky plan to escort commercial ships through the strait using naval forces. However, military analysts warn that such an operation could carry serious dangers and may not restore normal shipping activity anytime soon. Recently, Donald Trump has urged American allies to deploy naval vessels to help secure the vital shipping route. The call comes after regional tensions escalated following military strikes on Iran earlier this year. Since then, commercial shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has dramatically declined, with many shipping companies avoiding the route due to security concerns. The situation is alarming because the Strait of Hormuz is responsible for transporting nearly 20% of the world's oil supply, along with massive volumes of liquefied natural gas and fertilizer products. Any disruption in this narrow passage immediately impacts global energy markets, causing sharp increases in oil prices and raising fears of a wider economic crisis. To address these growing concerns, the United States has proposed escorting commercial ships through the strait using the United States Navy. The plan involves warships accompanying oil tankers and cargo vessels as they pass through the dangerous waters. Washington has also asked several allies, including Japan, South Korea, and members of NATO, to contribute ships and support to the operation. So far, however, no country has formally committed to joining the mission. Military experts say that hesitation reflects the enormous risks involved. Escorting commercial ships in such a volatile environment requires complex coordination between naval vessels, aircraft, surveillance systems, and intelligence assets. Even a small mistake or miscalculation could quickly escalate into a much larger conflict. One of the biggest challenges is the geography of the Strait of Hormuz itself. At its narrowest point, the waterway is only about 10 miles wide. For massive oil tankers, some stretching longer than 3 football fields, navigating these waters already requires extreme precision. Adding warships and escort operations into the mix makes the situation even more complicated. Naval escorts also need enough space to maneuver around the tankers in order to defend against potential threats such as drones, missiles, or fast-moving boats. But the narrow shipping lanes limit their ability to move freely, creating possible blind spots that hostile forces could exploit. Another critical issue is response time. Iranian military systems positioned along the coastline are extremely close to the shipping lanes. This means that if a threat is detected, such as a drone launch or missile strike, naval forces would have only seconds to react. Experts say destroyers alone would not be enough to protect the ships. Escort missions would require helicopters, fighter aircraft, surveillance drones, and airborne early warning systems constantly monitoring the surrounding area. These assets would need to detect threats not only at sea, but also deep inland where missile systems could be hidden. Iran's military strategy also relies heavily on mobility and unpredictability. Missile launchers mounted on trucks can quickly move to new positions, while small boats operating in the area could potentially deploy sea mines or launch drone attacks. This creates a highly complex battlefield environment where threats can appear suddenly from multiple directions. Another serious concern involves naval mines. Mines can be extremely difficult to detect and remove, and Iran possesses a wide variety of them. Some are simple contact mines that explode when a ship touches them, while others use magnetic or acoustic sensors to detonate when large vessels pass nearby. Clearing these mines would require specialized minesweeper ships. However, the United States currently has limited mine clearing capacity in the region. In fact, several dedicated minesweeper vessels were retired last year, leaving only a few ships capable of handling such missions. Even if allies like Japan or South Korea contributed minesweepers, those vessels are typically lightly armed and would need additional protection from destroyers or other warships. This would significantly expand the size and complexity of any escort operation. The availability of naval ships is another major challenge. According to military analysts, escorting a small convoy of commercial vessels could require 8 to 10 destroyers for effective protection. While the United States Navy operates dozens of destroyers globally, many are already assigned to other missions, undergoing maintenance, or involved in training exercises. Deploying large numbers of ships to the Strait of Hormuz could stretch naval resources thin and place enormous pressure on crews and equipment. Some experts believe the mission is still possible. The U.S. Navy has experience dealing with similar threats from Iran dating back to the 1980s and 1990s, when escort operations were conducted during previous regional conflicts. However, other analysts argue that the global naval balance has changed dramatically since then. Modern fleets are smaller, logistics networks are more stretched, and threats such as drones and advanced missiles are far more sophisticated. Recent attacks by the Houthi movement in the Red Sea have already shown how difficult it can be to protect commercial shipping, even with international naval patrols in place. All of this raises a critical question. Can the world's major powers truly secure one of the most important shipping routes on the planet? For now, the future of the Strait of Hormuz remains uncertain. What happens in this narrow waterway could shape global energy markets, international trade, and geopolitical stability for months, or even years to come. As world leaders debate their next move, one thing is clear: protecting the lifeline of global energy supply is far more complicated and far more dangerous than many previously believed.